their all, always gave a little more, showed the devil his place when he was showing him the door. And on the 8th day, God made a pair of boots and a Stetson hat for a cowboy like that. Never felt an itch that he couldn't scratch, 'cause he always had a buddy that had his back.
Cardinal singing their snow songs, and you're back in my arms again.
Never found a bush he would beat around, 'cause word travels fast in a real small town. Sticks and stones, always gonna break your bones. He couldn't be shy, he had to speak on up. He had some thick ass skin, you know his nickname was Tough. Pretty strong chin, a soft heart made out of stone. Ain't been a line drawn in the sand that he ain't crossed. Remember those hard-working, get-her-done cowboys, a little rough around the edges, never really had a choice. Good at letting the hard times roll right off of their backs. Had to give it their all, always gave a little more. Showed the devil his place when he was showing him the door. And on the 8th day, God made a pair of boots and a Stetson hat for a cowboy like that. Never felt an itch that he couldn't scratch, 'cause he always had a buddy that had his back. I'd hate to be the man that ever tries to cross his path. You're gonna have to hold your horses if he's letting his run. Remember those hard-working, get-her-done cowboys, a little rough around the edges, never really had a choice. Good at letting the hard times roll right off of their backs. To give it their all, they always gave a little more. Showed the devil his place as he was showing him the door. And on the 8th day, God made a pair of boots and a Stetson hat for a cowboy like that. He ain't afraid to fight, ain't ashamed to stand for the judge who rights the wrongs of man. Remember that John Wayne kind of get-her-done cowboy, a little rough around the edges, never really had a choice. Good at letting the hard times roll right off of his back. Had to give it their all, always gave a little more. Showed the devil his place when he was showing him the door. And on the 8th day, God made a pair of boots and a Stetson hat. Yeah, on the 8th day, God made a pair of boots and a Stetson hat. And a cowboy like that, a cowboy like that.
Guardians of the Purple Heart, and we are a 501c3 approved nonprofit organization based here in southeastern Connecticut that specializes in obtaining items or services for Connecticut combat wounded veterans that aren't being met by other organizations like the VA. So what we like to think is where the VA or these other establishments have to leave off because of their corporate red tape and limitations, we can come in behind them and fulfill these needs by reaching out to the community, working with our vast network of supporters, and just coming together as a whole and supporting these Purple Heart recipients and improving their overall quality of life. A lot of people ask us how do they get involved and how do they join in on the fun with us. A lot of things you could do. Follow us on Facebook, #1, Instagram, Twitter. Go to our website at gotph.org. You can send donations, send us a message. Spread the word of what we're doing. All the Connecticut Purple Heart recipients, we are out there trying to make a difference in their lives. So please give us a hand and join in on the fun.
Hey, this is Texas singer-songwriter Sergeant Scotty Frazier, proud to have served in the United States Marine Corps and now proud to serve with music. I am honored to be interviewed by and partner with Fubar Studio, the best in military and veteran supporting podcasts. Check them out, and thank you for your service for our American heroes. Also check out scottyfrazier.com for more of my music, and check us out on Spotify, Amazon, and where all good things are streaming. Semper Fi, rock and roll.
Bring your appetite down to Big Belly Cafe, 140 Gore Street, Webster, Mass. for curbside, takeout, and indoor seating. Visit bigbellycafe.com to view their hours, menu, and order online. For reservations, please call ahead at 508-949-2433. Follow Big Belly Cafe on Facebook for weekly and daily specials. And remember, all veterans receive a discount for their recognition of service. Big Belly Cafe. Reedy's Archery, located in Middleborough, Mass. at 121 Wood Street, has been a staple in the area since 1993 and has become the one-stop pro shop for competitive target archers and bow hunters from New England. Reedy's is open Monday through Thursday, 12 p.m. to 8 p.m., Saturdays, 10 p.m. to 4 p.m. Make sure to visit reedysarchery.com and follow them on Facebook to keep up with upcoming events. Reedy's Archery, dedicated to the archer. Wolf Aviation Network is the only flight school in the area utilizing the Airwolf Simulator AATD and the specialized Part 61 training program designed to save students money while increasing safety and efficiency. Creating safe pilots is our first priority. Our flight sim is the perfect training device. It is designed to prepare students adequately before taking flight in our aircraft. Fly with us and save money. Wolf Aviation. Reserve your spot at 413-563-1929 and visit wolfaviationnetwork.com.
Can't believe you're doing this alone.
I've done it before.
I remember. You threw your back out. How you holding up?
Hand me that board.
Nothing wrong with getting help.
I'm good.
I did it when Felicia left.
I'll figure it out.
I know you will, but you don't have to do it alone. That's all I'm saying.
If I promise to look into it, will you drop it and help me build this fence?
Now you need my help.
It can be a real pain sometimes, you know that?
Mm-hmm.
If you or a veteran you know needs support, don't wait. Reach out. Find resources at va.gov/reach.
That would be cool.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Welcome everybody. Welcome to another episode. I'm your host Doug, and today we've got a special guest with us. But just want to give a big shout out to all of our viewers and everybody from last week. Thank you for checking in with us. Thanks for always sharing and being there, making those comments. But I want to get on to the new episode today, and we've got Garrett right now, who is in South Korea. Welcome, man.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. So, as we were just talking, I mean, it's like it's nighttime here, it's morning time there. It's, I guess it's the way it goes in the world nowadays with this whole internet. It's awesome. I mean, I tell you, I remember when I went to Epcot when I was younger, and we had they had the Epcot ball, and you would go around and you would see everybody talking all through the computer and stuff, and it's like, that's never going to happen. Look, here we are today in 2025, even before 2025, I mean, we're sitting here doing this stuff now, and that was back in like early 90s, I want to say early to mid 90s when I saw that. I'm like, yeah, that's never going to happen. Boom, here we are. So as we were talking, I mean, you're still active duty in the United States Army. I know we were talking, you were just doing something with your MOS and switching the whole job title or something.
Yes, that's correct. Right now I'm in the Army. I do, on paper it's called mortuary affairs, but I think they're slowly changing it over to fatality management. So essentially, I'm the mortician. So I always tell all my my combat medic friends, hey, if you mess up, I get your clients. So that's kind of what I do in regards with the overall job that I have. A lot of we go by the motto dignity, reverence, and respect. So essentially, my job is making sure that our fallen heroes and their personal belongings and personal effects are being returned safely to their families and their loved ones. Following again, dignity, reverence, and respect in a timely manner, and just ensuring that we kind of get our troops home. That's kind of what I enjoy about this job. I know it's kind of a grim kind of topic because like death is a touchy subject to most people, and not a lot of people handle it well. They grieve differently. I understand, but I kind of find solace in just being able to making sure that, they get from the point of the incident to back home, just most importantly back home, because there are some cases where people don't necessarily have that option inside and outside the military world. So, just being able to give that family closure in some capacity, it helps and gives me solace in that sense, knowing that I'm able, to help somebody, find comfort in a topic or in a situation of grief per se. So that's kind of what I do as far as with on the serious notes. But for the most part, out here in specific, and again, it varies. During the day, if I don't have anything, of that nature, because, I understand people die every day, but not all the time I have the opportunity or the capabilities of to, be able to work on a case, however it does get done, or at least me, myself, and I don't. But other than that, I just do, making sure that the equipment's running good, typical NCO stuff, and making sure my troops are right, so on and so forth. That's kind of what I do in the Army. Been in for 4 years, not that bad. I didn't do a lot of hula stuff, but, I did some pretty cool, interesting stuff where I can at least, be able to help out with and have been able to, to witness and experience. So it has been kind of a hell of a ride, I will say. So
yeah, but I mean, you're going through the time frame where it's like, I got out in 16, in 2016. You're in it now. You've been in it for 4 years, so you got into it right after COVID hit, and then you're in it now. So you've seen a big change. You must have seen a big change from the time you got in till the time today. A lot of changes from PT to even the way of life of living on a military installation, because it changes. So what's can you kind of be elaborate with of just telling us more in depth with how the whole military changes from the time you got in till now?
Oh yeah. So I didn't get a chance to experience, what quote unquote a lot of veterans call the old army, where, there's a lot of discipline and people are more so cutthroat and more, straight to the point.
Yeah.
Is what you call it. I didn't get to experience a lot of that. I mean, of course, everyone goes through basic and experience it to some capacity, but I have noticed when it came down to me going in basic, because I joined in 2020, like right when it actually, COVID was actually happening, and then it actually, started trickling its way to certain parts of the United States. So I did see a huge difference when it comes down to how, even how they structured the whole in processing with COVID during COVID. So from what I'm tracking, what I know is that, and I've seen videos and different stories where as soon as you get off the bus, it's like, oh, drill sergeant's yelling at you, you gotta run, go get your bags, hold up over your head, the whole 9 yards. So yeah, that's one of the things we didn't get a chance to do. It was like, yeah, we got yelled at, but it was more like everyone still had to keep their distance. We were still able to, we had to do things a certain way in regards with, the whole, I guess they call it a shark attack.
Yeah.
So I didn't really get my shark attack until probably 2-3 weeks in of me being at basic. That's when they do the whole introduction, I'm drill sergeant so-and-so, whatnot. I also did notice that how with the corrective, training or what they call smoke sessions, it wasn't as like, what's the word I'm looking for? They weren't too harsh with it. I guess they kind of had to ease up with it a little bit, because, there is a fine line and a huge difference definitely between hazing and discipline. So yeah, they definitely wanted to make sure people weren't getting hazed, just for no reason at all. But I also noticed how you can only do it a certain amount of time within a certain amount of exercise. It's kind of strange. At first, I thought it was strange, but me being an NCO now and looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, it kind of does make sense. Especially nowadays, how the world is changing with what's considered bullying, hazing, what's going too far, stuff like that. 'Cause I guess the world is really sensitive now. So I did see a little side of the whole. We're literally getting out of the old army into the whole new generational army.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit in basic, and of course, policies and regulations change over time. But as of now, looking back on it, I have noticed, with the current generation of soldiers that I have, like even coming in, I will say it's like a different mindset, for the good and the bad. I mean, everyone, has their own perspective and what they believe and what they don't, which is fine.
Yeah.
But I have noticed there's been a huge shift change in regards with, because I'm about to be 29 in March, and I have a lot of troops I had. They were like under 25, if not barely 21. So I kind of noticed a lot of stuff that, just not even when I actually get to talk to them, and some references obviously, kind of goes over their head and vice versa. I'll be like, what's a TikTok, or like stuff like that. But like also like I guess some of their I'm not gonna say the drive is bad, because the drive can happen for a lot of people in regards with what they believe and what they don't, what's important to them, what's not. So that goes for all ages. But I will say I've noticed how with this generation, in my opinion, it's more like I feel as though as a leader in some cases I have to be not only more approachable but also to be more empathic, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
So
no,
I mean, yeah,
it does. It does. I mean, you got to be more you got to be, you got to be the leader, but you also got to be able to show them the way that things need to be done, but do it in a way that you're not kind of, I wouldn't say scaring them, but you gotta put a little fear to them to understand that they need to get the job done and get it done right, because there's always pros and cons when you do things wrong, or when you do things right, but it needs to be shown to them the correct way, and so that they follow the directions. But going back to when they're getting in, it was, even when I went in, it was a direct shark attack. It was day one, phase one. I went to Fort Jackson, South Carolina. Everybody's always like, "Oh, relax in Jackson."
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Wasn't so relaxing. Even when the drill sergeant said, "Hey, who likes racing? Who likes NASCAR?" And oh yeah, we're all in a bear crawl going around the barracks, making the car noises, Yeah, that wasn't so fun. But I would say once you got to, because you got different phases in the service when you go through basic. You've got the red phase, you got the white phase, and then you got blue phase. And then when you go to graduation, you have the red, white, blue flag, or guide arm. Don't want to say flag because it's a guide arm. White phase is usually when they sit you down and they're like, "Boom, this is who I am. This is my whole history in the service.
Right.
We want to get to know you as an individual." At first, red phase, they're just bringing out, like, what they say, it's like the 249, and they're just blasting away at everybody. Then white phase is when, we start taking, our M4, and we just start picking you off little by little, sometimes getting a burst and getting a few of you. But then blue phase is when we pull out the sniper, and it's like, boom, we snipe everybody who, it is, not, everybody. Even though they're still always like, hurry up, waiting on you, putting everybody in the front and the rest, making everybody get downstairs when they're supposed to be down there to, getting everybody ready to go in formation, and, making sure that everybody has their correct gear. But no, I get it. A lot of people that are been in, they get the whole situation. Do you find yourself being more when you have the new recruits that come in? Do you see yourself being more like a mentor to them, or do you see yourself at first trying to get them to understand this is still strict, somewhat strict, but not so strict like it's boot camp, or technically basic?
Yeah. So, I guess, like, I'm kind of like the mentor type at first, like coming in, I'll sit down with the soldier and go over, the expectations in regards with, introduce myself, what the expectations are, stuff like that. Because, like, unless you give me a reason to, in regards with, micromanage you, or, basically be on your ass to some extent, then I will. Once I have that reason, then yeah, I'm gonna go about it. But I like to treat people like adults, like, hey, I did not make you sign the dotted line and raise your right hand. This is what you signed up for. Let it be known. This is the Army. There is standards and discipline. And one of the things to also learn when I was in my boot was from one of my drill sergeants, going back, how I would always, just get like corrective training. Try to be above the standard, just don't settle for the standard, be above the standard. Yeah. And at first I never really knew what it meant, because it was just like one of those things where it's like, oh my God, you're just smoking us for no reason, drill sergeant. But going back, it kind of made me think, like, like, yeah, like, instead of just striving for that C plus, unless you don't get the C plus, you end up getting an F, then you failed. Versus we strive for the A plus, worst case we're gonna get is C. So I try to instill that with all my troops that I have, and also, tell my NCOs, that fellow NCOs too, just strive to be above and beyond, just going that extra mile, so that way, troops see that, and it hopefully has like a triple ripple effect. But yeah, going in, I try to be the mentor type, to where like I ask if what their goals are, what their needs are, and everything in regards with inside and out. Make sure they're good overall.
Yeah.
And usually it kind of goes fair, like, of course, keeping it professional, keep in mind that, there are the Army values, Army leadership, right? We're going to follow how everything is to the book. But that's why I kind of find myself I'm more empathic in certain stuff, because like I do believe, like, people do go through things. We're all human at the end of the day. I'm not one of those leaders where, if you're late to a formation, I'm just going to smoke you or write you a counseling right then and there. Like, I will sit down and be like, hey, listen, what's going on? See how you are. And then, we'll just keep moving it forward to say, hey, don't do it again. But once it becomes, a repeated pattern, or if it's just like nonchalant responses, like, I was late because I slept through my alarm and I told you once or twice. And that's where it's like, okay, well, now I got to do X, Y, and Z. But again, like, I shouldn't have to be a babysitter. I am a babysitter. Like, if that was the case, I would have kids of my own. But it's like, no, we're all grown individuals, like, just handle and manage your responsibilities. That's the approach that I try to do. Because I strongly do understand that people do go through things, and people have, they're at different stages of their life. But again, as long as you're not doing the things that are illegal and moral and ethical, you're doing the right thing, and or at least you're attempting to try to fix or correct whatever you do, then we're all good. That's just how I am as a person, inside and outside the Army. You handle and you manage people accordingly.
Yeah. And see, I mean, I would give them, as what our drill sergeant said, even I remember, because mine, Drill Sergeant Chapman and Drill Sergeant Russian, and Drill Sergeant Metzger and Drill Sergeant Smith, still remember them still to this day. It's crazy how you remember your drill sergeants, and sometimes, I mean, you might forget their name, but you remember what they instilled into you, and they always showed me when I first got in. They're like, we're gonna give you enough rope, which is probably a bad way to put it, but we're gonna give you enough rope to hang yourself, and that's it. And it's kind of a bad kind of terminology, but it's kind of direct and right to the point. I'm gonna give you enough rope, and you're gonna use what you need, but don't get over too crazy or zealous with it, because don't think it's gonna get you, because it does. And I was always trying to be that fair NCO and try to explain them. It's like, okay, this is what you need to do. I'm not your daddy, not your mama. I didn't give birth to you, but I'm going to show you the way. I'm going to show you the right way. I'm going to show it to you once or twice. But after that, you're on your own. And we get, everybody comes from a different walk of life. Everybody has something. People, go to their first duty stations, and, Camp Casey, Korea. It's like, okay, you're gonna be the first time you're away from your parents. You're in a whole new country. You're in a different time zone as everybody back home. So it's just like even tonight, it's like it's the same thing. It's two different time zones, but you got to understand that you can't just do what you want, because it's not gonna happen. Right. It's not how it flies. And a lot of us all work at different times. I remember guys used to work overnight shift, and it would be like, okay, because all right, they're an MP, they're doing base security, they're working the night shift, but they're still required to do PT, unless it went past the morning formation. Then it's like, okay, you were excused from it, but you need to do your own PT on your own time, so don't screw it up. So again, you have to make sure that you hold that standard. And it goes without saying, and that's where we try to be the leader and, live above what they say, what the bare minimum is. And you're right. It's like you want to be above what the minimum is. You want to be able to, strive for that A plus. Just like as you're doing a PT score, as you're doing your PT, we want you to give above that minimum, because if you're just going to do the bare minimum, it's going to be well seen. And not just to your squad leader or your section leader or to your platoon sergeant. It's going to be seen to your commander. It's going to be seen to the lieutenant. It's going to be seen to your first sergeant. And they're going to look at it and they're going to be like, is this person doing the bare minimum? Because if that's all they're doing, we don't want them around. We don't want them in. We're gonna get you out. It's the bottom line. It's but they want to work with you, and that's why it all gets worked out. And I was always another one that was like, yeah, I'm not gonna just go settle for the bare minimum. I always tried to strive for the best. Even when I went in, it was the same thing. PT was okay. I got I was able to make it through basic, and I got through just above the minimum. But I wasn't pushing just for the minimum. I wasn't able to run my my first mile in under 18 minutes. 1 mile. By the time I left basic, I was running my 2 miles just under 13:36. I was doing 60 sit-ups and 52 push-ups, which was all above the minimum. AIT rolls around. I'm now running. I went home for leave, for Christmas leave, and I still, by the time I left AIT, I was now down to like 14:45 by running my 2 miles. And I was by my first, second duty station. I hit PT stud. I got my PT stud badge and put it on my PT uniform, and I'm like, yeah, I'm doing good. I'm doing it. I wasn't letting myself down. I'm always like pushed for the best, and I was always leading to the lower enlisted. It was like, go for it. Do your best. It's what we need. And a lot of us NCOs, I would say, I had one NCO who did the counseling. Constantly spoke to the individuals that would come in, because a lot of us thought about it. It was like, oh, it's a joke. It's drink, party, stay up late. But it's, you figure it out, as they always say. Fuck around, find out. That's basically what it was.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I led to being finally being a leader, not just being the counseling / hard ass on it, because I finally realized it, that I needed to do it the better way, but you're doing it the right way. You're doing it the certain way that you got it. And do you ever find yourself counseling any of the I would say lower enlisted?
Oh yeah, all the time. All the time, in good and bad reasons. Again, when they come in, and I find out, like I'm their NCO, there's always the initial where, okay, like here again, like I mentioned, you're doing your expectations. I have them also rules, regulations. Also have them write down their short-term and long-term goals, so that way I can make sure that they're accomplishing their goals, or we can do follow-ups and make sure like they hit their milestones that they want to accomplish. And of course, there's always the counseling where some of them they are like FTR, or they're in the Ville getting in fights, or like stealing, or like crazy stuff like that. Like every now and then, like I have to write those. Like depending on, like in my opinion, the punishment fits the crime. Depending on what it is, like if it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, we just gonna do corrective training, we're gonna do corrective training. Big example, I had soldiers one time where I apparently my LT at the time, we were all in the same platoon, of course, was telling me that one soldier's room was just always messed up. Like I'm talking about not clean, not dirty, or dirty or whatever you want to call it. And it's just like I'm like, all right, I'll handle it. Again, told soldier probably like really once, from what I recall, it was once. I can't remember the exact number, but apparently, the LT ends up coming to me again, same thing. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, well, now it's getting to a problem because I shouldn't have my LT coming to me saying, hey, listen, so-and-so's room is messed up. So I'm just like, all right, well, I'm not going to sit here and just keep writing paperwork and try to chapter you out or kick them out over, just them not cleaning the room. That's just kind of common sense. Yeah. So I'm just like, all right, well, had not one, but all three of my soldiers at the time, because again, it's one of those things where it's like, at this point, it's going to be all three, y'all. Like, we're all taking responsibility for this. And then, like, I was just like, all right, all three of them pulled up. And then with my LT, like, he was there too. Started knocking out push-ups, doing V-ups, all that, because it's just like, I'm sitting there, like, saying, like, it shouldn't have to take a whole lieutenant to tell you to fix your crack. Like, this is something that y'all should know how to do. This is something that's standard across the board. Nothing has changed since your initial training. Yeah. And if it hasn't, been initial training, then it shouldn't. You sure as heck would not want that outside of the military or before you even transition over. It's like cleanliness is next to godliness, in my opinion. But it's also too just, being, just being squared away in that. There's so many things. So after that whole session, I was like, all right, from this point, we're going to be doing weekly room inspections. They're going to be at random. And every single time that y'all keep messing up, all three y'all getting counseling. I don't care who it is. We just going to keep doing it until we get it right. And eventually they got it right. So I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I shouldn't have to tell y'all. No one should have to tell y'all from this point, to get it together. And since then, I had no issues. But they learned from that point, like, yeah, it's just, you just do the right thing, keep your room clean. I mean, of course, I had... on a more serious note, there was always one where I had a soldier that got a DUI too as well. Yeah. So that was something that not that I personally didn't really write, but like I know my first time wrote it up, and I was NCO at the time. So that was probably like the toughest thing that I had to deal with as far as with like the worst was make sure that soldier was okay, giving them the medical help, and then them going through the whole disciplinary UCMJ process. It was rough. I mean, it was rough. Like I like working with the soldiers. I really do. When it comes down to because I'm a huge people person. I do like interacting, communicating with people a lot. And also, there's going to be days as an NCO where I'm just like, I don't want to do this shit. Like, someone should already know how to do this. Like, why am I just babysitting, Yeah. And I use the word babysitting a lot because, we don't get paid to do that. I mean, yes, we teach, we coach, we mentor, and, make sure that the standard is being met. But as far as with what I consider babysitting, it's like, again, you signed your hand. You signed the contract and you raised your right hand. It kind of goes to the whole like, all right, I didn't tell you to join. Like, this is something that you could have learned in regards with inside and outside. But yeah, I had a lot of crazy situations with a lot of stuff like that. But it's not that overall, like, I really enjoyed as far as like being an NCO and actually doing my experience with that. So my goal really is to try to move on to the commission side and see where my career can go with that. But of course, I like interacting, doing helping people overall. So
that's good. And so you say commission, so you're looking at going to OCS and getting your bar and all that.
Yeah, so right now I'm looking into going into do ROTC. So I'm willing to go back for, instead of a bachelor's, I'm going back for a second master's. Yeah. So going back to do my 2 years and going around like that. That's the goal that I'm trying to do in order to commission. Yeah. Because I looked into other avenues and I guess it just didn't work out with me being prior enlisted. But other than that, yeah, that's kind of the goal at the end. Is to try to advance my career. I don't know if I'm going to do a full 20. I'm kind of just taking it contract by a time. I would like to do a full 20, but like the goal is And it kind of, I guess it's going to transition a little bit into like the mental health aspect. Because again, we all go through stuff. I like active duty, but at the same time too, it's one of those things where it's like I feel like it's not for me right now in my current situation. So it's just like I want to be able to still be a part of the military, but also be able to, have my own venture to where I can actually do what I want. So hence why going to guard, going back to school, and then hopefully apply for AGR and kind of be have some control over, I guess, my military career, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
Not saying that people don't, when they're active duty, but I mean, again, people have different situations and stuff. But
oh yeah.
I guess for my also too for my my creative endeavor, me going to school for communications and journalism and trying to have all these businesses. I can't run all those by myself from active duty, so of course I need help in regards with having a business partner. But also too, it's kind of hard when we're we're on two different sides of the pond. So it's just like, I would be more content with having the military and doing either my 9 to 5 or whatever schedule that they have with the military for insurance or benefits, but also to running my business and putting more practice and stuff like that, because I strongly believe if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. So
absolutely. You find a career and you get into it. It's not technically a career. It's something that you enjoy doing.
Right.
But it's a career, but it's something that you enjoy doing, and it's better than just a working 9 to 5 job and saying, oh, well, I got to go to work today. Oh, it's another day. You actually get to enjoy it and do your thing. I know as we were talking, you want to get into the journalism and stuff like that. Have you looked at what kind of journalism you want to get into? Is it more with like a media, or is it more like an avenue of, well, not media, but it's all media. It's technically, is it like more getting into like news, or is it more like a leisure of like magazine to story, stuff like that?
Well, my thing with journalism is that, like, I guess, like, one of my niches that I guess I gravitate towards, and I have been doing for a while, is just military journalism. I guess that's what I like doing, as far as with, like talking about, like documenting, photographing, and I also like, like you're doing, like we're doing right now. I actually like enjoy talking to veterans, and being able to help them out. Hence why I guess I created a lot of brands and businesses that's like centered around veteran-owned businesses and also veteran-owned brands. So I guess that's what I kind of like doing. But as far as with doing other stuff like news, words, and stuff like that, like I don't mind doing that either. But I guess I'm more along the approach of just having, just being able to, I guess right now I'm just more towards military and veterans. I haven't done a lot of different avenues like sports or anything in order to be like, hey, I actually enjoy this and that. I'm not opposed to it. But it's just one of those things. I guess right now, like it's just more. I guess it's more relatable to me as being a journalist and the interviewee, like, as far as with like military and stuff like that. So
okay, no, I get it. So it's in the realm of writing the stories and getting the photos and stuff like that for organizations that deal with military aspect, from anything probably from like military times to organizations like what we do at Patriae for veterans, or even things that other organizations that I've worked with, like the Travis Mills Foundation, Wounded Warrior Project, to Reese Across America. There's so many avenues out there that and organizations that are out there that are always looking for individuals like yourself, and it's because again we're all trying to. I know. Again, a lot of us are trying to bridge the gap between a lot of the organizations and be able to promote what each organization has, and say, hey, this organization can help you out as a veteran, or this organization here can help you out, and help. They can also, with this organization over here, they can help you out with all what you need. You know, when this organization may only help you, may be able to only help you with this, but try this avenue because they have all that information. You know, and that's where basically what we try to do. We try to bridge the gap between all the organizations that are out there, because everybody has certain aspects of certain things they specialize in.
Right.
You know, but there's other organizations out there that say we can help anybody out because we don't require, you know, financial statements. We don't require, you know, you telling us how much you're making, you know, for work-wise, how much money you're making at your work, because we're not funded by the government. We're not, you know, required to get that information. Because there's a lot of organizations that are out there like that say we need to know how much you're making, how many people are in your household, what are you paying for bills, what do you have for this, you know, what do you have in your retirement, and then there's organizations like mine. We don't expect that. We don't want that information because we don't need it. You're a veteran, you're in need. Okay, I don't care you have a job. But you might be laid off right now because, you know, in New England, we have winter. So companies people get laid off. So, okay, you made $60,000 this year. We don't care. We don't want to know that. You're laid off. You need help. You need $200 for groceries. Okay, here you go. As long as you can show that you're a veteran, you know, that's all what matters. You know, yeah, we'll look and make sure that you're not abusing the system. We may look and see, okay, how many times have we helped you out, you know, in the last 60 days or last 90 days. We're not saying we're going to turn you away or something, but we want to make sure that we're able to help every veteran out that we can, not just one individual veteran. Even though we know veterans do need help time to time. You know, I've got a buddy of mine who works for the VA, doesn't get paid much, gets his VA disability, but still don't make much. You know, rent nowadays is through the roof. So you know, he don't have much. So he calls me up occasionally and says, hey, can I get $60 in, you know, in gift card to a grocery store? Okay, yeah. We'll run it by the board. All right. They said yeah. Everybody voted yes. Here's $60. You know, he's probably done that 2-3 times in the last year. It happens. You know, we don't expect you to only come once and that's it. But we also don't want you to come every week and say we need money, because then can't give anybody else money. But you know, there's so much stuff that's out there for, you know, what you're looking to do. You know, I'll even tell you, you come out this way, feel free. I don't even care if you're out this way and you want to even help us out occasionally here and there. If you ever want to just get that exposure with helping, feel free. I know some other organizations that are out there that you know, they have payroll that because they get funded through the government, so they get money. There's those organizations which at any time when you do get out and you're looking to do that, I can point you in their direction as well.
Yes, please. I would appreciate that greatly.
You know, again, it's just because we are all here to help one another as military family, as, you know, brothers and sisters in arms. Your active duty still don't matter. I'll give you the shirt off my back, even though I didn't put deodorant on yet. But no, I'll tell you, I'll give the shirt off my back to anybody that's military and that needs it. It's just who I am. I'll give the last dollar in my pocket. but it's just because, again, who we are and what we've all been through and what we still continue to go through. So with all that being said, I mean, if there's one thing you could say to the viewers, as the way to like succeed or even be successful in a day, is there something that you would tell them to shoot for, or something you would tell them to inspire them?
I guess one of my biggest things would be, most definitely take things one day at a time. I know that's like one of the most cliche things everyone has probably heard to some capacity.
Yeah.
But taking it one step at a time does help, because I know when, not even just inside the military, but also outside. But I know I'm only speaking from military perspective, of course. But like I remember when I first got in, it seemed like, again, like, yeah, I was all for it, and I was for it, especially after when it got to the basic, and then like I guess that excitement kind of went down because AIT was like a little bit different. But there were times during my AIT where I was just like, man, this really sucks, and it was like we were really going through COVID still.
Yeah.
So it was like we really couldn't do a lot of the stuff. So there was times where I'm just like, yeah, this really sucks. Or like when I found out that my particular MOS isn't what meets TI, and we're doing additional stuff other than what we're on paper for, and I was like, yeah, like I really signed up for this. So I had days where I'm like, yeah, like I kind of was like in a sad kind of depressive way, but like I kind of found things or try to do things in regards to just remember, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. Like one of my drill sergeants also too is just to take it, with the military, you got to just take it one day at a time. Because there are going to be a lot of days where you're going to be super high speed and you want to, you're going to be out there, doing all this. And there's also going to be days where it's like, man, like it just sucks. Like I just don't want to do this. And everyone can relate to that, even outside the military as well. But I guess like trying to find some kind of way to get rid of that, the negativity or, that sadness or whatever you're feeling in regards to what's weighing you down. Into some form of healthy outlet. And I know for most people, it probably is going to the gym. That's something that I kind of like found really is great, because you're helping, you're taking that negativity and you're pushing it out, to something positive. So that's one of the things that I find good resiliency in. Another thing that I personally do is I actually every time I'm feeling some kind of like emotion, whether it's happy, sad, or whatever, an idea visually as a visual artist comes to me, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna do this photo shoot, or I'm gonna take this photo and try to make it this way to give off the impression that this is what I'm going through, but also it's pretty cool at the same time. So like I do that with like various pictures, also too with designs. Started a lot of businesses and clothing lines that are related to certain things, because artwork works. So hey, if I do art in order that makes me feel happy, might as well help other people, or actually show my designs and stuff. There's a lot of things people can do. I guess just really ultimately just finding hobbies. I guess that's like the umbrella word of where I'm getting at. Just trying to find hobbies, and if not, like most definitely talking to people, just checking up on people, because I do tend, and I do believe sometimes we strongly forget sometimes, or we don't actually check on people like we're supposed to, especially if like you're away from your family, whether you're overseas or just even a couple miles from. Just check and say, hey, how you doing? Just simple words, or just simple, questions like that. And most importantly, like doing that can save somebody's life, because I have been experiences where, people thought the world was against them, and unfortunately they, took their own life or something. And we all, again, we're thinking so many things of what shoulda, coulda, woulda. But maybe, again, like if someone had reached out to me, or I've reached out to them, they probably would have, felt better or felt wanted. And I've been on both sides of the fence with that too, myself personally. And up until somebody reached out to me, said, hey, how you doing? It just kind of all went away. That's what I tell people, and it's kind of hard. Sometimes it's very hard to follow and practice and preach, but I try to do everything I can in regards with. I make sure everything's exhausted, so that way I'm going and doing what I have to do, but also to making sure at the end of the day that I'm happy. Because again, if you do what you love, you never work any day in your life. For some people, that can be in the military or not be in the military, having certain jobs, or even if it doesn't seem like it's like, oh, like this hobby will never, make money, or I can never, make a living off of it. There are so many ways to skin a cat. Like, you'd be surprised where people do stuff that they love, and believe it or not, somewhere later down the line, it makes a profit for them, or it actually helps them to where they can, get a job or get something that they want to do, or an opportunity, stuff like that. So that's what I tell people, just to basically take things one step at a time, and most definitely reach out to people. So
absolutely. I mean, as we're getting close to the end of it, of this show, one of the things I do tell people is, because I've heard it, I don't know how many times, 500,000 times, is that, if you want to be able to be successful, then what you need to do is, as soon as you first wake up in the morning, is make your bed. You've accomplished one task already first thing in the morning. Doesn't matter how the rest of your day goes, because if your day goes like crap, then you can look back and say, all right, well, I've accomplished one task. And as soon as you get home, you can look and say, I've accomplished that task of making my bed, and it looks good, and now I'm going to lay down and I'm going to relax in that accomplished task. The other thing is, I look at it is, as you said, is always reach out to people, because you never know how that conversation or what that message could change, because you actually hit it right on the head. Is you could change someone's life, by just reaching out and saying, hey, by the way, just was thinking about you, and see how you're doing, and reach out and see what you're doing today. Because if you send that out to, say, an average of 6 people per day, and you don't even have to write it out, you can copy and paste it and send it out. That could change anybody's aspect of their day. It doesn't matter, on, who you send it to, or because you're just copying and pasting it. They don't know that, nor would they probably care if you're just copy and paste it, because inside for them, they're getting a message that says, hey, just thinking about you, want to see how you're doing today. That's going to make them feel so much better inside if they're having a bad day. Because really, when you look at it and you say that to somebody that's having a bad day and is thinking about, suicidal, having suicidal thoughts and whatnot, it's going to make a big difference to them. It's going to make them really think about it. And it goes back again to, checking in on your buddies. As, you had it, and I know I've had it, where other, soldiers are not the most cleanliness individuals. It could be a female, and females are some dirty individuals sometimes, on how they live, even when they're in basic training. They're pretty bad. But if you check on them every so often, and you make sure that they're doing what they're doing, and make sure they're doing the right thing, that's going to change. It's going to make a difference to them. It's going to make them finally realize they're going to keep coming by here every day, make sure that I'm cleaning my room, or make sure that I'm washing my ass or whatnot. Because if they are the stinky individual, because they smell bad, that shit happens. They will change it. They will change their ways, one way or another. It could be in a good way, or it could be in a bad way, where it's a hard way for them. But they will change it one way or another. So I always say, try to send that message out to at least 6 people a day, minimum. you know, that's gonna make a big difference to a lot of people.
Right.
You don't realize. A lot of people don't realize that. But yeah, I mean, that's basically what I say to these people is accomplish the first task of the day, and that's making your bed. It's not that hard. It's very easy. You get into it easy. You can get out of it easy, and just hook up your hospital corner bed, your 45-degree angles, and put your desk cover over your pillow, and you'll be good to go. You know,
100%.
Bounce a quarter off that damn bed, as my drill sergeant would say. But it's definitely been a pleasure speaking with you and getting you on. I don't want to keep you too long because I want you to be able to relax and get on to doing what you're doing. But would love to have you back on. You know, and we'll talk some more. But you know, definitely want to give a salute to everybody out there, viewers, and definitely keep us in mind and check us out on all the social medias. Like, share, give us those subbies. We need those subbies. But until next time, everybody, we will see you then.
Shut up. Shut up.
Yeah. Shut up.
You suck.
Stop. In the name of all that which does not suck.
Thanks for watching Fubar Studios Veteran Reinforcement. Please make sure to check out the Fubar Studios on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and visit the website at fubarstudio.com. Fubar Studios is a Sinista1 Production.